This is the Expert's Ordnance set for the Demo Man, consisting of the Lock and Load, Old Pull Caber, and the Scotch Bonnet. The cosmetic is cool, but the stars of the show are the two weapons in the set, both of which don't see much use. And yet, these two weapons are infamous with the TF2 community for all the wrong reasons. From the Lock and Load killing light classes in a single pill, and the Caber killing medics in a single swing, now being relegated to the dumpster where all inadequate side grades end up. I'm here to change that. As of late, these two beauties have caught my eye in a way no other weapons have. I've gotten some insane kills with these two, and I've got to show you. But first, I probably should at least tell you how the weapons work, for the uninitiated, of course. In this dynamic duo, the Lock and Load is what you'll be using the majority of the match, so let's check this thing out. The Lock and Load gains a 20% damage bonus against buildings, like sentry guns, has a 25% faster projectile speed, but at the cost of a 25% smaller clip and a 25% smaller explosion radius. The biggest and most notable aspect of the Lock and Load is the fact that the pills this thing fires shatter on contact with the surface, so essentially you lose out on rollers entirely. For the most part, it's pretty simple. Kinda reminds me of the direct hit for the soldier, now just weaker against players and stronger against buildings. Some will tell you that the Lock and Load is a crutch for bad demos, but don't listen to them. Losing out on rollers completely and only having 3 pills is huge when you're only gaining slightly more damage against buildings and a significantly different arc to your projectile. The Caber, on the other hand, has a very depressing past. The Caber went from being a funny stick to an EpiPen of depression right to the heart, injected into the bloodstream and will circulate through your veins till you get crammed to the forever box. Stats-wise, this thing is deceptively simple. The only stats listed are a 20% slower firing speed, a 100% slower deploy speed, and no random crits, along with exploding on contact. Beyond this, there are many different quirks and problems associated with the Caber, one of them being hit registration, specifically on the explosion hitbox. Sometimes you'll hit a guy right on the dome, and nothing happens. However, when you go to check your Caber, it seems to have gone, as the demo says, kaboom. And yet, the explosive is still there. What the heck? Fun fact, if you crouch using the Caber, you'll deal more damage than you would simply standing up or jumping on the head of an enemy. Why? I have absolutely no idea. The Caber does have a lot going for it, but only if you're willing to be patient and take a breather before you have a severe stroke after missing a swing that you clearly hit. Whatever. It doesn't bother me. It bothers me a lot. I do genuinely believe that though the Caber, 67.8% of the time, is absolutely trash bad, there are moments where the Caber reveals the fact that it is truly the best melee weapon in the game. For one swing. Of course, it's only for one swing. But let me show you. So now that you've seen what it can do, how do we do what I've shown you what you can do? Well, I'm not going to sugarcoat it, but this stuff ain't easy. Very similar to Trollger, in fact, This joke of a playstyle is incredibly difficult to pull off successfully. You need to be perfectly aligned with your enemy, you need to perfectly charge into them, and you need to perfectly hit them with the caber and hope that it doesn't absolutely screw up. First off, we need the proper equipment, i.e. the proper shield. For this analysis, we're assuming that our primary of choice is the lock and load, and our secondary must be some type of shield. I have to partially put aside my bias for a second to clear the air. When using the caber, we essentially need a shield to make it relatively worth running over the sticky bomb launcher, even the sticky jumper. We need a shield. Seriously. You can try to run the caber without a shield or without any form of like crit-based assistance, and it's not often the best. It really isn't. You need some type of secondary to supplement the power of the caber and try to hope to circumvent its weaknesses. Also, something I recently learned, which is absolutely ridiculously absurd, is the fact that the caber can't mini-crit with a shield. I didn't know this. I genuinely thought the caber could mini-crit, which is why I thought using the tide turner would be actually a good option. Allowing for more turning control and extra damage on top of it is fantastic if we're trying to run like a hybrid knight level loadout, which is something I definitely love. I love hybrid knight, especially hybrid caber knight or hybrid knight. I guess hybrid knight because you're caber hybrid knighting. I guess, but I learned recently that the caber can't mini crit. It just can't mini crit, and that blew my mind, and that explains a lot. Actually, that explains a lot. So it makes the caber's situation a little worse than I thought it was. So this is gonna be a little more difficult than I originally anticipated. So we're gonna have to try our best to choose between the charge and targe and the splendid screen. One provides more defensive assistance, and the other provides more offensive assistance. So let's try to figure out which one in which situations is the best to use. So why exactly are we choosing to use a shield in the first place? Well, I kind of explained it, but I think I could do a little bit better than just saying, oh, it's a good thing to use. The caber normally doesn't necessarily do enough damage to kill classes, or at least higher health classes in the amount of time we need it, which is one swing. The caber normally can only deal 124 to 125 damage, which isn't that much, but it's still good for single target elimination most of the time. We choose the shield to significantly raise the damage of the caber to a degree so high that nearly every class in the game, no matter their overheal, can be killed in one hit. That's the purpose of the shield. At least for the caber. The shield is also a really useful movement tool, but only if you understand the physics of trimping. So between the two shields, we need to make a very important decision. Do we want frequency or fortitude? Along with a few other different stats, the splendid screen allows us to use our shield charge more often than the other shields would. However, it has a much weaker resistance to both fire and explosive damage compared to the charge and targe, as the charge and targe gives us, I believe, a 30% to like 40% resistance to fire and explosive damage, which is absolutely insane. As a caber knight, our caber doesn't recharge, it doesn't regenerate, which kinda sucks, but we have to deal with it. So, we can realistically only expect to get one effective caber charge in over the others. So, with that in mind, keeping ourselves alive mid-charge and prior to the charge should probably be of the utmost importance. The splendid screen gives quite a lot of leeway in actually achieving the killing blow, seeing as it deals potentially around 70 to 80 damage on collision with an enemy, which could give us just enough of a damage boost to land the killing blow against healthier enemies such as heavies. Heavies are probably the biggest thing we have to worry about, and also our biggest target. Seeing as Heavy is just this fat lard sitting on the map screaming with a giant gun makes him a pretty easy target to find, and also pretty easy to kill. So, that being said, we need to be in the right position at the right time in order to seriously dig this guy up a deep enough grave. However, Heavy is still a fat lard that likes to sit and scream in one place with a giant gun. So, it makes it pretty hard to kill someone when they're killing you actively, and also has the highest amount of health in the game. So with that in mind, it might surprise you that sometimes the caber sucks butts and kind of drops the ball on its responsibilities as an actual functioning tool of murder. You could be right in front of a person, like I said earlier, hit them, and nothing happens. And this could happen a lot against heavies, which really is incredibly unfortunate, but we have to just kind of deal with it and try to work around it. So the shield bash does actually give us a bit of a chance at taking care of this guy without fully depending on the caber crit, or perhaps it doesn't even get a crit in the first place. Not to say that the charge and targe doesn't deal any shield bash damage, it's just that its damage is significantly weaker than that of the Splendid Scream. But overall, I think the sheer amount of resistances and effective health that the charge and targe gives us completely overshadows the faster charge rate for a kind of single attempt event and more damage on the bash. It just lets you take so much damage and so much brutality that you can continue to pursue and assess situations and hope for another convenient congregation of the enemy team, which could lead to an even fatter frag.
Here lies the tide turner. You died as you lived. Terrible and ineffective. We all know that sometimes it's actually pretty okay. But, yeah, it's kinda bad. Not gonna lie. You see, the tide turner gives no crits. Only mini crits. And on a weapon that can't even mini crit because it, for some reason, cannot mini crit with the mini crit device known as the tide turner. It's absolutely terrible. I feel so bad for this poor thing. In concept, it would actually be really cool. Because, you know, if you could, like, mini crit with it, that could be cool, I guess. But, yeah. Yeah, it's bad. Yeah, so, if there's, no one here, might as well just, head out, you know. You gonna come with? No? Really? Oh, okay. I'll just, I guess I'll just see myself out. See you later. I guess maybe we can hang out sometime? No? Just kinda gonna sit there, I guess? Okay. Bye. I guess. Bleh.
And that's kinda it. I know it seems a little abrupt, but this is an item set overview, not necessarily a deep dive into a specific weapon. That comes for later. I think that there's a little bit of synergy between these two weapons. I think there actually is quite a lot. Both of them focus exactly on one thing: precision killing. That's the whole point. You miss your shots with the lock and load, you get nothing. You miss your swings with the caber, you get nothing. They seem to be dedicated to taking care of enemies within a single blow, or at least trying to, in the terms of the caber. The lock and load is genuinely a good weapon. It's really useful. It's quite underrated actually, and extends Demoman's range quite far. The caber, on the other hand, has a lot to go through, and it's been done to death how exactly it could be fixed, or what exactly it needs to be good again, but I would just say fix hit registration, and give it the ability to regenerate over time. But as it stands now, the caber is a niche weapon, obviously, that's kind of the whole point of it. It's supposed to only be used in a specific situation, that's kind of why it's called a side grade, you know? But that should not deter you from using it. The caber is actually really good. In the niche situations where you can get it to work, it is, well, it's most certainly, truly the best melee weapon in the game. And to anyone who wants to dispute that fact, check this out.
The car's not moving, lads!
Don't at me, and thanks for watching.